without any further ado, let's dive right on in with a brand new Q&A. So here's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to head on over to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, scroll down through the latest videos to the latest Q&A video. You're going to hit the thumbs up, help us out in the algorithm. Then you're going to comment your question in the comments below that video for your chance to be featured on a future Q&A with Taeler Hendrix. Here we go. First question from my YouTube channel is, have I seen the new trailer for the Iron Claw wrestling movie? No, I have not. I have not seen any marketing for that. So tell me if it's good and I will gladly watch it and rate it for Talking Films with Taeler Hendrix, the 3-minute movie review. Next one. Oh, this is a good one. What was it like growing up in a haunted house? What's really funny about this one is I'm wearing my dad's really cool hat. It says I'm wearing my ghost hunting hat. I swear to goodness, me and my dad should do a ghost hunting show like called Growing Up Haunted. Who would watch that? I know I would. So growing up in a haunted house, as we have, you know, a fire truck in the background of the studio here, was very, very weird and cool and strange and interesting and terrifying all at once, you know, especially when you go into it not expecting anything. You know, it was my first like house as a little kid, you know, because before that we were living in an apartment. It was just my mom and I, and all of a sudden we were moving into this house with my grandma and stuff, and later on my grandma passed away in that house. So, and the house was already creepy before that. So it was just very, very interesting. Multiple people died in that house. The house dates back to 1912. So, I mean, it's not a surprise really, you know? But yeah, it was really creepy when we first moved in. It was like straight out of the late 60s, early 70s. It had that shag carpet with, you know, the olive green and like that goldenrod yellow and that like dark maroon color carpet. And then it had this fake faux brick archway, and then it had like fake linoleum brick on like the flooring and stuff like that. Like it was very, very outdated. We moved in the 90s, I think close to the mid 90s, and it was still stuck in the 70s. You know, it was very, very weird. You know, you would constantly lose things and never quite find them, or find them where you knew you would never put them. You would always hear things that go bump in the night. Yeah, it was just really, at certain times intense, other times scary, and other times comforting, because you, like, for example, sometimes I could feel like my grandma was around, and other times I felt like there was something that, like, you know, was really, really scary and had its eyes on me, sort of thing. And I feel like once the, you know, other side notices that you notice, they all of a sudden know you and will always recognize your energy after that. And that's why when I talked on the Taeler Wild On podcast, I talked about once they see you and know that you know, it's like they always know you. It's very, very weird, because ever since growing up like that, like I can go to different places and sometimes get a feeling about the energy in that area. And sometimes it'll be very comforting. Sometimes it's like, whoa, I got to get out of here, or, oh, I should never be here. I'm not going to step through into that house or business, whatever the case may be, right? I just get these like little feelings, like these hunches, like, oh, this is, no, I can't be here. You know, it's something like that. And I think it all stems from growing up in that house. Every once in a while, like that house will just pop into my memory. I remember there was a girl I went to high school with that was like, this house is like the Amityville Horror House, and she never went back to my house after that. But you know, there was like some humorous stuff, like one of the upstairs bedrooms, if you put it on like rock music, it would change to different country music stations. It was weird. It never had just one country music station, but if you put it on any rock station, it would always switch to like country songs from country music stations and stuff like that. You would find stuff in the cellar that you never ever would have put in the cellar. You would hear like steps way far behind you creaking, like when you're like 6 and 7 steps ahead of that step. So many crazy things. You know, on this channel, I've done like growing up haunted segments where I will talk about different stories about things that happened in the house, like the light bulb that burned a hole in my floor in my bedroom as a little girl. That one was scary. You know, this ghost friend that lived in the cellar, that was scary. Like all kinds of random things would happen in that house growing up. All right, moving along so we don't spend the whole creepy episode on just my childhood home. Another person asked me, what European countries have I been to and subsequently want to go to? Okay, I have been obviously to Canada, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Ireland, and Scotland. Other places that I would want to go would be I've always wanted to see Prague. I've always wanted to go to Wales, England, France, Denmark, especially because one of my all-time favorite books growing up, actually the book that got me into loving to read, took place in Copenhagen, Denmark, and then as a secondary place, Sweden. Yeah, Sweden. So yeah, there's so many different places. Yeah, just so many. Italy, Spain, all kinds of places. What are some of my favorite horror movies? Okay, I love like the Insidious franchise, the Conjuring franchise, Annabelle franchise. I love like supernatural type stuff, obviously. And I like zombie movies. I really enjoy like psychological thrillers. I really enjoy like Seven, Deliver Us from Evil, or The Pope, or The Exorcist. Let me see, The Omen, Poltergeist, Amityville Horror. There's just so many. The Evil Dead franchise, Night of the Living Dead, all kinds. I'm a horror fanatic. Not so much gore, but just like actual horror, like thriller and horror and like supernatural stuff. Let me see here. Do you keep anything from fans? I'm assuming that you guys mean like stuff that you guys have sent me in the past, and absolutely. Maybe I can do a video some point of some of the things that I still have. Like I have a painting from a fan. I have got a personalized coffee mug that I keep my pens in by my door. So I actually see that mug every single day. A fan named Cam made that for me. I remember him. The painting was from a fan on here named Clinton. Let me see. I've got fan mail from an old P.O. box. Oh my gosh, at Queens of Combat, there was a gentleman who suffers from, you know, social anxieties and stuff like that. And he tries to push himself by going to events that have people. And one of the ways in which he copes to push himself is by drawing. He told me this, and it was so cool at Queens of Combat in North Carolina, because what he did at the Queens of Combat show is he actually drew like this superhero picture of me that made it look like I came out of like Marvel or DC. And it was so cool. I loved it so much. I actually turned it into an 8x10 many years ago that some of you purchased, and it had his little signature on it, and that's the story behind that. So I thought that was so cool that he shared that with me. Frank, I have stuff from a fan named Frank Bruno on social media. See, I love my fans. I try to remember people's names so much. I try. I'm not good at it. I've had a lot of concussions, but I do try. And as you can see, I have a ton of stuff from fans. What is my favorite Halloween candy? I have never been huge into like candy. Like you can ask my mom. I was never like candy. Like never. And I was never crazy into chocolate either. So if I would have to go for something chocolate, it would either be like the holiday Reese's, you know, like the ones that they have like Christmas, Easter, and Halloween, because it has more peanut butter in it. Love those. And Twix. So if we're going like the chocolate route, that would be that, or maybe a Milky Way. Probably because it's like less chocolate and more about something else. And then other types of candy, I would like Smarties or Starburst and Skittles, things like that. Or those little, they look like cherries or strawberries. Somebody actually said that that was the worst candy on my question on Twitter. And I was like, no, that broke my soul, because so many Portuguese homes I would go to when I was a little girl would have those in a glass like candy jar, like all year round. I have specific memories, and I used to love those. Oh yeah, but worst candies would definitely be candy corn, those black or orange wrapped candy things, black licorice. Oh my God. Some of you said black licorice, and I think I blocked that out from my childhood. So thanks so much, guys. Thank you so much. What is something from modern culture that annoys you? How much time do you have? But no, for real, how much time do you have? I would say one thing that from modern culture that really truly annoys me is people that say something that makes them like they think makes them appear smart and knowledgeable, but it actually shows you that they're drinking the Kool-Aid, basically, I guess is how I would put that. It's not that they're dumb or stupid, it's just they're misinformed, and they believe it because it's like a false flag sort of thing, I like to think. And so one of those, and what I mean by false flag, by the way, is you're being told something, and something is a certain way, right? And because it appears that way, you automatically believe the narrative, right? But in reality, they're trying to make it appear as something else to gain something from that over you and take away things from you without you even noticing, because you believed the narrative that they wanted you to, basically. It's kind of like, look here so you don't see what I'm doing here, basically. And so the thing that annoys me is, is when I hear people say that we have a housing crisis. Guys, we do not have a housing crisis, okay? As of a few years ago, I don't know what the numbers now with record, you know, immigration into the United States specifically, that is unprecedented and never happened this big as far as I know, from an analytical standpoint. But before the last couple of years, we actually had enough housing to house homeless people like 5 to 8 times over, meaning each homeless person could legitimately have like 5 places. That is how much is actually here in the United States, but not being utilized to the fullest. And, you know, there's so many people that actually profit off of homelessness. There's entire industries that profit off of homelessness instead of solving it. Like, they could solve it. They know how to solve it, but they won't, because they profit off of it and they profit off of other people's misery. So we do not have a housing crisis in this country. We have an affordability crisis. Big difference. And they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to see that and kind of be awakened to that aspect. But it's the truth. We have an affordability crisis. And it's really a shame that people don't understand what's happening to their money with inflation and how so many things that they don't teach you in school that you really need to become a prosperous, successful, well-rounded, productive member of society as an adult and completely self-sufficient. We definitely have a massive affordability crisis. The rates are insane, and you're actually, even though you make more money than people did in the 1970s, people in the 1970s kept more of their salary than you and I do today because of inflation and the rising costs of goods and services compared to our actual salaries. Most people's rent is more than half of their yearly salaries. They have like nothing left over. It's an affordability crisis, not a housing crisis. All right. Next up, is there a female wrestler that you think is overlooked? Absolutely. I think Alex Gracia is overlooked. I think people are sleeping on her big time, and I think it's very, very unfortunate. And once the right company realizes her potential and puts her in an environment that is conducive to her becoming her fullest potential as a superstar in this business, they're going to have a gem of a loyal superstar that will make them a lot of money going forward. Would I ever, and do I ever want to work with Sasha McKenzie? Absolutely. I love Sasha. I don't know what her thoughts are on me, but I have nothing but positive things to say about Sasha McKenzie. I actually had her on an episode of this podcast back in 2020 of Talks with Taeler Hendrix. Like, we had a very, very long conversation. I think she just finished a workout at the gym when she went on my podcast. I'm sorry about my yellow fingers, by the way, guys. I was cooking with saffron and I feel like it makes me look like a chain smoker from the 1950s or something, like just, ooh. But yeah, I absolutely adore Sasha. I think that she's come so far just creatively and with her talent and her vibe. I think there is a lot to say about Sasha McKenzie. Why did I switch from Q&A Wednesdays to weekly Q&As? Honestly, it's a schedule thing. When I say I'm going to do something or put the stamp of my name and approval on something, I take it very seriously. And if I can't commit to something, I will let somebody know and adjust accordingly. And so that's what I did with Q&As. Because just doing Q&As every single Wednesday, you know, just with everything else, it was a lot. And there were times where I needed to miss it, and I didn't feel good about that for my fans that do like to tune in for Q&A Wednesdays. So hence weekly Q&As, so that I can put them out whenever I can, instead of the extra added pressure of everything else that I'm doing on top of, oh, it's Wednesday, I've got to do this right now. What is the worst fan interaction I've ever had? I had a fan try to break into my hotel room. I had a fan follow me out to my car. I actually was groped by a couple fans, and that's why, like, if you notice my fan pictures back in, was it 2016 or so? I started going like this when taking photos with fans because of things like that. It's really interesting because the more scantily clad I think you dress, whether it's gimmick or not, people seem to make assumptions of that and treat you accordingly, which isn't necessarily fair. Like, I am not Taeler Hendrix, you know, like Taeler Hendrix is a character, it's a gimmick, you know, you can't just treat me, you know. So I would say that that was a real eye-opener. Even people that you work with in the business treat you a certain way based on, you know, what you're wearing and how you look and things like that. It's, you know, it's that whole don't judge a book by its cover, but most people do. It's one of those things. I've had a lot of very interesting fan attractions. There was also a female fan on the East Coast who was such a diehard fan of mine, right? But then when I was campaigning to be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I actually found one of her like fan role play pages based off of me, like talking so negatively about me on how I should just know my role and stick to wrestling and I could never make it in acting or whatever. And she to this day has no idea that I know about that. Like, I've actually seen, a couple years ago, I saw her at a show and treated her with nothing but respect. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know what you're doing. I know what you've said and what you've done. That's just the type of person I am, you know, pick and choose, you know. And in the grand scheme of things, it is what it is. Like, her opinion does not dictate my value as a person. And you have to be that way in order to be successful at anything in this life, right? And what the funny thing about that is like, I did get a call back with the casting people for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, honey, guess you were wrong. Yeah, I've had quite a few negative fan attractions. I also had one person like lie about how they met me, and then it was really, really funny because then other fans of mine were like, there was no way she would have said this or done that. Like, we've met her multiple times in multiple different conventions, and I felt so good because what that fan was saying I said was just so awful and derogatory and the big R word, and I was just like, that is not me. I was not raised that way, honey. No, 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 no. Let me see here. How long does it take to design my gear? That really all depends on the gear, guys. It really, really does. I actually don't know how to answer this question because I have so much creativity and ideas put into my gear, but then it always takes the right sort of gear maker to self-edit me in a good way and also put their own creative spin on it to bring my ideas together. Like my most recent gear at Lucha Patron against Santana Garrett, I wanted to look like, you know, the queen of snakes, basically. I'm like, well, everybody wants to have an opinion about me. Why don't I just be that then and own it, right? Even if it's not me, I'll be it and I'll own it. So I took the Bad Reputation outfit from Taylor Swift's Era tours, and I took an outfit from one of Dua Lipa's tours, and I took some Madam Hydra, and I took one of the old color schemes of an old set of gear that you guys voted on my YouTube channel, by the way. I had you guys vote on the color scheme, and you guys picked red, black, and gold. So I did follow through with that, and I looked like a super villain that came out of, you know, Captain America, you know, from Marvel Comics. You know, I literally looked like Madam Hydra with all the golden snakes on my gear. It was amazing. I thought about that outfit for months. And then I tried drawing it myself, which was humorously awful. And then I had to go through like 5 or 6 different people before I found the right person to make it. I actually went overseas to Ireland. So yeah, I love my peeps out in Ireland. Do I like to cook? Absolutely. I really want to bring back Taylor's Tiny Kitchen. I've just been so busy, but you name it, I love to cook it. I cook my own bread, bagels. Let me see. I cook salmon, all kinds of chicken, potatoes, rice dishes, stews, chicken pot pie, like all kinds of really cool stuff. I absolutely love, I really enjoy cooking and getting to sit down, you know, with my husband for a meal that I made that we get to enjoy and bond together. Like one of my all-time favorite things. What is my favorite snack to eat when watching a sporting event? I don't know. Like, are we talking about like at, you know, a venue or at home? At home, it would probably be like chips and dip or something, just super basic. If I'm at a sporting event, probably French fries, I guess. I don't know. I've never been asked that before. That's a good one. What is something, let me see here. Oh, what is a necessity you absolutely have to have packed for wrestling events? Okay, this is such a great one. That is also a brand new question. I have never been asked that either. Okay. Okay. So something that is an absolute must for me and has been my entire wrestling career is a little peasant Barbie dress. And I know that sounds so weird and obscure, but it's the actual honest to goodness truth. When I was 3 years old, my mother got me this Belle Barbie doll. And it was one of the first times I ever had Christmas presents under the tree. I actually told this story at WWE for my tryout, and I remember Jessica Havoc was like crying. You know, it was like the first Christmas we didn't have my father, and when I was 2, he wasn't there, and my mother waited outside of this place that in the rain and, you know, rainish snow in New England and Massachusetts in the cold, because they were handing out stuffed animals so that there would be something under the tree. And she promised never ever again would I ever go without. And when I was 3 years old, it was amazing. You know, I couldn't find her when I woke up in the morning, and she didn't come in my room to wake me up. She wasn't in her room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm 3 years old. I'm starting to get freaked out. It's Christmas morning. Where's my mom? And it's her birthday. And I walk down this hall of our little apartment, and I walk into the living room, and I come into this wonderland of toys. It was, to this day, no matter how many concussions I have, I still remember that feeling of, it was a wonderland of toys. That's exactly how I would describe it. There was trolls and coloring books and crayons and chalk and bubbles and Barbies and outfits. It was the most amazing thing I had ever seen at that point. And it left such a profound effect on me. And one of the gifts was a Belle Barbie doll that had her blue and white peasant dress with the apron. And then you had her gold dress when she dances with the Beast. And so I packed that. So 9 times out of 10, since I was 17 years old, if you saw me wrestle, whether it was on TV or at a live event, you most likely saw me when I had that Belle Barbie dress, because I always kept it with me as a reminder of who I am, where I came from, and who I want to be someday. That's what that dress really symbolizes to me, and keeps me very grounded and humble. And so what I would do is I would pack that, and I would put it inside my gear, inside the, like the strap piece here, over my heart. And while I'm taped into my gear, the Belle Barbie dress is taped to my gear, while my gear is taped to me. So it was always like over my heart as a reminder of, this is why I do what I do. This is why I started this. And this is going to be my legacy one day, where I get to take care of my family. And that's what that Belle dress is actually about and reminds me of. And that is an absolute necessity in my gear bag. 99% of my career, I performed with that Barbie dress, including WWE. All right, I think that's a good place to start for this week's Q&A. We are running long on this episode. I want to thank you guys so much. We had quite a few brand new questions. A lot of times there's repeats, but today there was a lot of really new ones, so I'm super excited. I hope you enjoyed this brand new Q&A. Don't forget, if you want to join in all the fun, that is Q&As with Taeler Hendrix, head on over to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, scroll down to the latest Q&A video, hit the thumbs up, and post your comments in the comments below that video for your chance to be featured on a future episode with Q&As with Taeler.